What's up, guys? So today we're going to be working on this 2025 Range Rover. So we're going to be doing 20% on the front two windows, including this little quarter window, just to match the back. Our customer chose our ceramic tint because they wanted to block heat and sunlight glare. So I'm going to show you guys exactly how we tint this car. We're going to be bottom loading, so I'm going to show you how to remove the sweeps as well. Let's get into it. All right, so the first thing we're going to do is get these sweeps out. Now, with this being a Range Rover, typically it can be, a bit intimidating because you don't want to mess anything up. So it's very important to have the right tools to be able to do the job. So the first thing we're going to do is remove this cap, which is very easy. So I'm just going to use my little pry tool here. There's two at the back, come out pretty easy. And then there's one at the front. And boom, it comes off that easy. And you want to release the speaker. There's a small clip on the front. Now this panel just rolls back, so you're going to be careful. Make sure you don't roll your fingers back and scratch the leather or anything like that. Just get well under the panel and roll it back and work your way down. Now the panel's out of the way, and then there's one clip right here, and it should just pop. Boom. Now that you have the panel back, you can't just pull it up because this little panel here is covering the sweep. So what I like to do is stick that same tool in and pry that panel back. Use my little pick tool here. Just like that. The sweep comes out very easily. And now you're able to bottom load. So the next thing we're going to do is cover these panels because it is leather. We want to make sure that we don't mess up the leather because if it gets wet, it can swell. So we're going to cover that and then follow through with our install. All right, so now that you got your panels covered, the next thing I like to do is to tape off the seals. These are felt. Even though we're bottom loading on most cars, you don't have to still tape off the seals because you're bottom loading. You're not going to have to worry about the tint touching. I like to make sure that, even if I'm bottom loading, if something should touch or if a piece of this felt breaks off, it doesn't get into my tint. So even when I'm bottom loading on this car specifically, I still like to go ahead and tape up the seals. So this tape that I'm using is called house wrap or sheathing tape. I get it from Lowe's Hardware, but I think you can get it from Amazon, actually a little bit cheaper than what I pay for it. But yeah, this tape sticks to everything, panels, felt. I haven't had a panel or anything that it has not stuck to, so very reliable. All right, now that we have our seals taped off, it is time to clean up this window, make sure it's ready for the install. All right, first things first, I'm gonna wet our glass. Now, since this window is laminated, meaning that there are multiple pieces of glass stuck together, there's a lot of dirt that could hide in the top of the window. So I like to take my clay bar, just run it across the top edge, get it wet and run it across the top edge. Just pull out any of that dirt that could be just hiding there. As you can see, all that dirt. And just follow up with my rag. You see the rag is actually pretty clean. It's because the clay bar did its job. And from there, the first thing I do before I touch the glass is I want to know what type of glass it is. There's usually some type of sticker here on the bottom of the glass. Lets me know that there is no UV coating or anything, so I don't have to worry about, scraping the coating off if I do decide to scrape the glass. Instead of going in up and down motions to make sure I'm not really scratching the glass, just like to kind of treat it like it's a squeegee almost. Once I roll it back down, I like to just to hit the top one more time. The reason being, once you roll it back up, sometimes the residue from the tape can get on the top of the window. If you don't squeegee it one more time before you install, you'll have all that residue sitting at the top. All right, so we've got all the prep work done. Now let's get inside of the van, plot the film out, and get it on the window. All right, so this is my plotter. It is a Titan 2 plotter that I got from US Cutter. No, it's not a Graphtec. I think it cost me like 2,200 bucks, something like that. It is a cheaper plotter, but I mean, it's great. I've had it for 2 years. I don't have any issues out of it. All right, so we have a Range Rover, it's SUV, and it is a 2025. Now I'm cutting this pattern sideways to be able to save some film because I am bottom loading. I don't really have to worry about shrinking the film. So I cut it sideways to save some film. I install it without shrinking. And then once the tint is on the glass, before I put the sweep back in, I like to heat seal the bottom. As you can see, I mean, the plotter is a bit cheaper, but cuts just fine. All right, so all of my prep work is done. We're going to spray, squeegee, and spray one last time before we install. Make sure you flush out your sides to get any dirt out. Flush out the bottom, and then lightly mist the middle. So when I'm bottom loading, what I like to do is an air peel. That keeps me from having to put the tint on the window, potentially, allow dirt to run down into the tint. So I like to do an air peel. Drop that front corner in first. Then the back corner. When you're bottom loading, make sure the top does not touch until you're fully cleared this panel here. So you're gonna work it down. And what I like to do is work this hand and curve the tint. The most important things after you've got the tint on the window is checking on the other side to make sure you don't have any light gaps. We're good on both sides. Now, for me personally, even though I am plotting out the tint, I like to leave just a little bit hanging over the edge so that I can come back through with my knife and just shave off just a little bit of it, make sure it's a perfect top edge every single time. It's actually a good pattern, so you don't have to shave too much. So we got our top edge taken care of. Go ahead and roll the window up. Like I said, I didn't shrink the tint before I put it on. So sometimes you may have a little bubble like this one pop up here. Very simple. Use your heat gun and just heat it down, and you should be good to go. You shouldn't have any issues with it coming up because you did bottom load the tint. Spray a little bit of water. Got my heat gun, and then like I said, just follow through with the heat gun and make sure everything is sealed. Be very careful where you're pointing your heat gun. I like to point it up, not down, so I'm not, putting any heat on the leather. All this heat is going directly towards the window. Now that we got the driver window done, we're going to attack this quarter window. Start off by giving it a good mist. Using my little scrub pad here. Scrub the window really good. Make sure you get any residue. This is a newer car, so it shouldn't be any, but just like to make sure. One thing I like to do right now is before I squeegee, go ahead and wipe your panels off. And the reason why you want to do this now is that, let's say you go ahead and squeegee the window and then you do this, there is a chance that this rag could leave behind some fibers. And then once you spray the window again, those fibers could run down into in the window. So that was just our initial scrub. So we're gonna hit the window one more time just to make sure it's clean. All right, now you're ready for your install. One trick I learned a few years ago is on smaller quarter windows like this, once it's clean, I don't like to spray water on the window again. Even though I've done a thorough cleaning of the window, there is still some dirt and dust that could be sitting in the seals with it being such a tight area. So instead of the normal where you spray the window, then spray the tint, I just like to spray the tint. It being such a small piece, I don't need much soaking water. I don't need water on the window and on the tint to get it to slide in place. You really just need to soak the tint and then just put it directly on the window. So give it a good mist. Well, first you should grab the right piece. I'll be right back. Right, now that we've got the right pattern, give it a good mist. My fingers are clean. I've already cleaned them. Put it just on the edge. Give the tint a good mist. And then install it. Now that I've got the tint on both of these windows, the most important step in this whole process is checking over your work, making sure everything looks good. You know, in our tint industry, everyone wants to be perfect. You want to have perfect tint installs, but I'm here to tell you it's okay if you have minor imperfections. That is why you set expectations with your customers. You let them know that it's not going to be 100% perfect. You're going to have minor. When I mean minor, I do mean small imperfections, not hair, dust, dirt everywhere. I mean a small speck here or there. And then from there, it's your job to go back and try and perfect that. So I have a small speck here, which is normal. I did everything that I could. I did the cleaning process right. I taped the seals. I'm bottom loading. I did everything that I could do to make sure this is a perfect install. And I still have a small speck right here. So I'm just going to use my heat gun, this chiseler. I'm going to get it out to where you can't even notice it, and you'll be all set. Heating up the window like this, make sure you are not pointing the heat gun directly at any pillars or anything that could potentially burn. And just like that, I was able to heat this speck out, and you can't even tell that it's there. So I'm gonna get this window cleaned up and get these sweeps put back in. So to get our sweep put back in, I'm just gonna reverse the process that we did to get it out. Very simple. We roll our window down, get this tape off here. I like to do is spray a little bit of water inside of the seal. It helps it slide back on very easily. All right, now we gotta get the speaker put back. It's very simple. So I'm gonna plug it back in. I like to line up the front clip first. And you're all set. All right, guys, and that is how I tint the windows on a 2025 Range Rover. I hope you guys learned something. And if you guys have any comments, anything I could have done differently, anything you like to do differently in your process, please leave comments. I'm open to all suggestions. If you take care of your customers, they'll take care of you. I'll see you guys in the next video.